Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 26, 2022 at approximately 6:37 a.m. PST. Well, being an even day today, we're going to be looking at getting your house in order and taking a look at some of the changes that are happening. Okay, they're happening in your world. Now, yes, I absolutely use things that are going in my world as an example. And before I get started, I return to this world for one reason, okay, to pass on one simple message. That is that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But it's going to require your effort and mine equally. Nobody is above this. Okay, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what any differentiators are between you and the next person. The only the only entity in existence that can be successful for you is you. But do understand, I'm not perfect by any means, but the tools I offer here are the same ones I personally use. This is why I use my own life as an example. The philosophies of life I talk about are the ones I personally live by. Now, these are methods that have taken me a very long way, and they're about to take me a whole lot further. And if you choose to utilize these tools, they are tried and tested. If your method isn't working, then it's time to try something different. The best way, or to experience something different, the best way I ever heard it put was that insanity is best described as repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Okay, now if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. Okay, yes, there's a lot of information coming out. I've just made a decision just yesterday. Okay, I am once again getting a storage unit, but here's what it's for. I'm not getting rid of some of the stuff I've got, but there's a lot that I only require once a year. For instance, what the storage unit is going to be used for is clear keepsakes that I really desire to have. Things from my childhood, things from my kids' childhood, this sort of thing. I will be dealing with those. Okay, those will go into storage. Holiday decorations, whether if you decorate, like if you yourself celebrate Christmas, okay, you only require the decorations usually once a year. So holiday decorations are going to go into storage. Okay, so they're not cluttering up my house. Even the surplus, like I will be keeping, like if you look over here, I've got a number of books that I've already written. Some of those will go into storage as inventory. Okay, just because I don't require them in the house. But I will keep a selection in my house so that when somebody writes in and says, I'd like to order a book, I can just turn around, grab it, and not worry about getting out to storage. Okay, so you're going to find a lot of this stuff goes away and gets cleared up. So the shelves may end up appearing a little more empty. Poor English, a little emptier. Okay, and then what'll eventually happen, because the thing that threw me off, I mean, I had a little bit of a problem on a social level. We're not getting into that. That's been sorted out. But then yesterday, we had a fire in the apartment block. And that has brought to bear the idea that some of this stuff has got to get out of here. Okay, so these shelves that you can see here, I'm going to end up replacing with fireproof shelves that I can put stuff inside in case of a fire. All I end up getting is dirty shelves, and I can go in, and I've still got all the paperwork and the stuff that I do require in the office. But these shelves will be moved out into the storage unit to sort things there. That'll be one of the things I'll be dealing with. Okay, that's one of the major changes that's going to happen. Because in my eyes, kind of a necessity to get the energy running. So here's what you do. Okay, I've talked about finance itself, but today we're going to focus on Feng Shui. Now, Feng Shui, if you read up on it, it's beautifully laid out. Okay, for Eastern society. But you got to remember, Eastern society is laid out, and they use Feng Shui in the entire cultural outlay, as near as I can figure. So when they talk about, oh, put it in the north wall or put it in the east wall or whatever, that works great in Eastern philosophy, but the philosophy is still, the principle of Feng Shui is still the same. So you start off with your working area. Now my keyboard is completely clear. I got a bunch of paperwork here that I've got to work on, but I've been busy this morning anyway. Okay. So you make sure your workstation in the brain of your house, which is the office. That's where all the money is worked on. Make sure that is organized so that it's clear and you can work with it. Okay. Once you've done that, then you turn to your floor and you go, okay, is my floor clear? Because the more smoothly the energy in your house runs, the more relaxed you're going to be, and the lower your stress level comes. Obviously, I think that was redundant. But the other thing you'll find is your energy level goes up. Now, when I was out at the restaurant yesterday, after being standing up for a while due to the fact that there was a fire here, I went my leg buckled on me completely, to the point that when it popped out of alignment, the waitress on the other side of the restaurant, and we're talking 5-6 tables away, heard the knee go. Okay. So, am I a little sore today from that? Yes. But the damage I'd done to my back a while ago is finally back in place. So I can actually function. Still a little tender, but what the heck. But you get the floor clear, get your workstation for your money, for working on your finances straight. And do not forget this, because this is just a fundamental. It's not there, it's right here. Remember that thing about things being a little discombobulated? Okay, this sign here, this top one, we have legally acquired a minimum of $3,800 by May 31st, 2022 at 23:59. Now, 23:59 is 1 minute to midnight. Okay, this is how this works. That will draw the energy out of the upper levels into the material world where you can make it manifest. Now I keep that handy so I can put it to use. And I strongly recommend you do the same thing. Oh yes, this is because I run a home-based business. Inner Voice Enterprises has generated a minimum of $700 by May 31st, 2022. Okay, at 23:59, 1 minute to midnight. Okay, that will help keep your finances in order. Okay, and I know that sounds way too simple, but I've been using it for months and I keep ending up jumping it. Now, I'm questioning this month whether I'll manage to bring it up, but we'll find out. It's kind of like business has not done as well as I would like. But, and I can say, I can keep going, well, I'll do that tomorrow. Problem with procrastination when you're getting the energy in your house running properly and you're getting your motivation up and running. Here's the key to getting your motivation up and running. Right here. Now I keep this sign on my, right handy in my office. I keep one, okay, and that sign it says, I am worth it. I keep one in the office, one on my fridge up front in the kitchen, and one on the front door for when I'm first coming in. So you got all that running. Now, of course, the real kicker to all this is you've got to figure out what success means to you. Now, for me, success is simple. The first step in success for me was get a viable income where I could relax, where I knew what I was dealing with. Now, there's things I have not smoothed out. I know what I'm aiming for, but being a professional procrastinator, I keep putting them off. Not a good idea, by the way. Okay, because procrastination does not get you very far in life. And in all fairness, no matter what you're doing, the only time you can affect anything is in the here and now, right here, right now, and we are all in exactly the same boat on that one. But the reason I'm giving you these tools is because it's taken me. Well, I'm 59 now. I have a definitive outlook on where I'm heading in life. For those of you that think you've got to have your life organized by the time you're 20, scrap the idea. There's very few people that get there. Okay, but is it does it help if you can? Certainly. But I'm a very different person today at 59 than I was at 20. Okay. At 20 years old, I was quite readily working in a restaurant. I spent 24 years working in restaurants. And then I finally reached a point where I just can't handle it anymore. Okay, so, I started when I was 9. I quit working restaurants when started at 9, and I quit restaurants actually, it was probably longer than 24. But I stopped in 98, so 63, so yeah, I guess that was a bit more. That's 25 years-ish. But anyway, I'll figure out the math later. It doesn't really matter. Okay, apparently trying to work that out in my head this morning isn't going to work. Get the floor cleared. That way you can come and go out of the brain of your home, of your house, and also your home, by the way. But by getting the floor clear, you can come and go. You can have the energy run out of your brain into the rest of the room. Send into the rest of your house. Okay. Now, I'm getting rid of a lot of junk. I'm going to keep the stuff here that I'm going through, but the stuff I've decided I'm definitely keeping will end up in the storage unit. And yeah, that does mean my rent essentially will go from $1,000 a month to $1,300 a month. Okay, but I can work with it. I just have to watch what I'm doing, and I'm just cutting back effective next week. Yeah, today's Thursday, so effective next week, I'll be sharing my time down at the restaurant and my expense down at the restaurant a great deal. And the funny thing there is, by doing that, I will actually have the money to pay for the storage without causing any damage to my whole interaction. Okay, but you've got to have an idea of what you're aiming at. And the whole trick to that, to getting your house running properly, if you haven't done it already, and I've mentioned this before, but if you haven't done it already, get a list together. You start off by just writing down every single bill you have, whether it is a utility bill, rent, something you owe somebody, doesn't matter. We're not talking about who owes you what. We're talking about what you owe who. Okay, you write them all down. Once you've got all of them listed, then you break them into 3 categories. Your living expenses. Now, your living expenses, and do understand, this is the tools that I personally use. Okay, and yes, I am in the process of rewriting a book to explain how that is done. But you take that, you put that list of bills together, everything you owe, even if it's only $10 to somebody. Okay, write it down. Then you take that list and you break it into 3 categories. Your living expenses are your rent or your mortgage, and rest assured, those are the same thing. Your rent or your mortgage, your utility bills, your one credit card. Okay, one credit card or line of credit. Okay, your food, insurance, your entertainment, your savings. Okay, things like this. Now, remember to leave yourself, put a little extra money aside. Include money for upkeep. Now, that's the first layer. That's your living expenses. Okay, and let's not forget your entertainment. Then you have your second set. These are interest accruing debts. All the other credit cards, save the one that you decided on. Credit cards and lease payments, um, credit cards, lease payments, lines of credit. These are things that are expenses. Okay. But you go with the interest accruing ones, the ones that if you don't pay them off, they add money to it. Okay. Because of them, by doing that, and you break those down, then the third list is the bills that are not accruing debts. They are not accruing interest. These are usually ones to loans to friends that you've gotten from friends or from family, that there is no interest adding up to it. Okay. Once you've got those separated, now you take each of those lists and you list them off. Okay, you list off the last two groups, your interest accruing and your static debts. List them off, most expensive to least expensive, monetarily speaking. Okay, you list those off. Now, where it comes to your living expenses, very strong recommendation. Top of the line, your rent or your mortgage. Second in line, your power. The rest of them you can figure out, put them in any order you want. Any order you desire. But those two, if you don't have a roof, all the utilities in the world won't matter. And if you don't have your power paid, all the rest of your toys aren't going to work. In all likelihood, aside from ones that happen to be battery operated. Okay, get them listed. Now what we're going to do is you're going to target the smallest, monetarily speaking, of the interest accruing debts first. Well, actually, technically that's second. You take care of your living expenses first. Then you target the smallest of the monetarily speaking interest accruing debts. Okay, you go after the lower ones because, quite frankly, psychologically speaking, it is easier to deal with one very big debt than it is to deal with a whole pile of little ones. Okay, now you get that dealt with, and your finances are now ready to run smoothly. Now we look at the layout of your house. Okay, and this is where we had originally intended on starting. Okay, take a look at the layout. Make sure things are set up in a functional fashion. My computer. I've got my computer sitting here. Over here, I've got a couple of monitors. I've got a spare monitor up here. But then I've got my printer right here beside me. And a little bit of room to write on. Now, and of course my phone's over there. But this lets the energy flow exactly where I require it. Okay, I've even got my recycling bin down there and my shredder sitting here beside me. This gets the energy working properly in the heart of my brain. Okay, then you get the floor cleared. Now, once you've got the floor in your office cleared, the next area to target is get the stuff off your floor in every hallway you've got. The hallway basically boils down to, when you've got the hallway, that basically boils down to the nerve center of your house. Okay, it's the relay that lets you get information from one part of your house to the other. So you start clearing out, that's the easiest one to get to. Now, don't forget, okay, and I've done that possibly backwards, because the heart of your house is still the dining room, living room, and kitchen. Those have to be cleared out. Get the clutter out of them. Okay, get the stuff off the floor in your hallways. Now you've got the energy running from your brain to your heart and out to the rest of the extremities. Okay, because it's time to start moving this stuff if you haven't done it already. And remember, you break these tasks down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks. By doing that, you will see progress. You will feel better. Your energy level will come up. And let's deal with that other little side effect. I leave music running almost all the time. Okay, but you find the fastest paced dance music you can find. Crank it as high as socially acceptable and let it run. This will bring your energy level up. It will help you deal with depression. Without medication, the vibratory rate of the music is what will bring you up. And like I said, dance pace. I'm not talking about, like, I'm a country fan. Okay, but I will tell you, many of the country songs can be a little depressing. They do have really good fast paced ones. Okay, and those are the ones you focus with. Pick your own style of music, whatever you enjoy. But I recommend staying away from the music that says, shoot your dog and my girlfriend died. Things that are depressing by nature are not ones that are useful. They may be good music, well, many of them are, but they're not really well suited to raising your outlook on life. Now, I am not one to tell you. I got something bobbing in my eyeball. By the way, this is a live recording, meaning all I'm going to do is double check the date and then post it as is. Okay, all the hiccups, all the glitches, all the sidetracks, that all comes with the territory. If you ever end up talking to me in person, you'll find I'm exactly the same way. But when you turn the music on to let it run, that will help keep your energy level up. It will also help keep your sense of self up. It helps deal with depression. Now, this other thing I talk about here, and I actually haven't got much of it done right now, but this other thing I keep talking about is a list. Okay, you take a list and you write down on that list your goals. Okay, the things you've got to do. And the easiest way to look at it is wherever you're sitting right now. If you haven't done this already, okay, if you're already using the list method and it's working for you, thumbs up to you. Well done. Okay, if you're not and you're still having trouble getting organized, the list will help, even if you happen to suffer from ADD or ADHD. Okay, and this is not a cure. It is a coping mechanism. It is a tool to be used in conjunction with other tools you're already using. Okay, and like I said, you've got a method that's working. Absolutely use it. Of course, if you got a method that's working, the odds are you're not paying attention to me right now anyway. That's an interesting way. I've got my finances open beside me. I just noticed I had an interesting situation where I've got a really grievous spelling error in it. Now, that may not seem like much to you. From my end, it's a bit of an issue. So it's now been corrected. Once you've got the energy running, like I said, you clear the arteries out. You've already got your living room, and you start with the floors. Okay, you get your floors cleared first so you can walk comfortably. Okay, from my standpoint, I'm at a point now where I'm actually clearing shelves. And that's why I'm opening up the storage unit. Because there's stuff in here, stuff that I do desire to hang on to, like the top two shelves here, are likely going to stay put. The ones below are where I've got excess books that I don't require all of them here. They'll go out to storage, and then I'll bring them in as I require them. Okay, but you get the floor cleared so you can walk around easily. Okay, and don't forget, it's not just a question of clearing. I do recommend starting with clearing. Okay, then you start working on shelves and what have you. But don't forget, when you're dealing with the house, okay, yes, you've got to clear the floor, but you've also got to vacuum it. You've also got to wash the floors. Okay, you've also got to wash counters and what have you. Now, here's the thing. I'm not the one to tell you how to do housework. I hate the stuff. Okay, I really do. And when you combine hating housework, it's got to be done whether you like it or not. Okay, and that's why I wrote this little book here. Yeah, this one. Okay, this is the backbone to how I actually. This is called "Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams." This is the backbone to how I got my life turned around to start with. By going, I myself am going to change my world. I did a lot of time talking to other people to find different tools. The list method that I use came from a very successful multimillionaire. And he actually pulled the book and pulled the the sheet out of his wallet. He carries it around with him, and every time he finishes a task off, he checks it off and adds a third one to the bottom. Okay. Now, the reality is that once you've got these things going, don't get carried away. The reason you go with 3 is because I've made the mistake before where you list off everything you've got to get done, and that list can be exhausting. Okay, but you get caught up in the list and you don't get anything done. Okay, at least I didn't. So what I found was what the millionaire had said about taking that list and making it only 3 long. You check one off and add another one to the bottom. In this way, you can get things done and you'll feel like you're making headway. Okay, and you'll have quantifiable proof to back it up. But this is something that you've got to stay with. And I'm running into the same problem you will. Okay, you've got kids. You're not raising kids. I heard it phrased really well. I think it was on Facebook I was scanning through. And there was a really neat way they phrased it. You're not raising kids. You're raising adults. Yes, they're your children. Yes, you've got to give them the support they require. But your primary goal, once you've got them healthy and taken care of, now it is time to really step in up to the plate and get these kids trained so they can actually operate, so they can handle their own bills, keep themselves clean and fed, or vice versa. Okay, and know how to deal with situations. It's time to start training the children. And I will tell you, the way society is going right now, we got our work cut out for us. But in my opinion, it was my generation that really dropped the ball. Yes, we had a lot of guidance on how to drop the ball, but now it's up to us. It's up to you to step up to the plate and go, okay, I've got a mess in my world. I'm leaving the world before my kids are, I hope. Some of you, unfortunately, will lose a child before you die. This has got to be one of the hardest things anybody deals with. Okay, but it's time to get the kids educated. It's time to get back to the basics. And this is going to tick off some people, but it is a philosophy thing in a lot of ways. But by getting the energy in your own head, in your own heart sorted out, okay, you can change the energy in your house and in your home. And this is the backbone of changing society, is we got to get back to the basics. Now, on that note, I'm going to bring this to a close, and I will be back again tomorrow. Okay, until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.